Hello everyone, and welcome to another chapter of Jack Jameson, archaeologist and avid adventurer. Penned by Raylan Mason, narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Chapter 7. The cologne that was swept up in the wind now had Cassius's goon Jeff wandering around and heading towards us. I was still holding onto Chris, and we were pretty much laying on the ground at this point. "Jeff, let's go, man. I don't want to be out here longer than I have to. That and we need to have your arm looked at," Bob said, looking around. "Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was just a flower or plant. I hate the jungle. Let's go report back to Cassius, as it will take about an hour's walk to get back to him," Jeff said, as all three started to walk back the way they came. So if Cassius is only an hour's walk away, that means we need to keep heading east, as they were heading west. Now that they were out of the area, I wanted to wait before we emerged from our spot. Yet the snake that was about to slither onto Chris had me quickly grabbing its head and throwing him off into the woods. Chris doesn't do snakes. Me, spiders. I hate spiders. Nasty things. And out here, you don't want to get a spider bite. Or any bite, for that matter. Now that I couldn't hear them anymore, I motioned for Chris to get up from the ground. I stepped out first, just to look and make sure they were really gone, while Chris dusted himself off. I'm going to assume that something gross and long was about to crawl on me, as you were smart not to say anything, as they would have heard me freak out, which would not have been good. I swear, he notices everything. Nothing gets by him, and it's one of the qualities I liked about him. In this line of work, you have to be aware of your surroundings, especially now that we were in the middle of the jungle. So, lesson learned, no cologne next time. It will only attract insects, but a bunch of fools as well. I'm sorry, I should have said something this morning before we left. I said to him, as I really did feel bad, only because I could see he felt bad about it. "Let's get going, as we need to move while we have the daylight," I said as I checked the compass to make sure we were in the right direction. Looking at my watch, it was only 1, so I knew we could cover a lot of ground. Hopefully find what we were looking for. As we walked, Chris decided to strike up a conversation. One I've been trying to have with him. "Can I explain why I left? As I'm sure that's what you've been wondering. I know you've been trying to talk to me, so I guess now is a better time than never," he said as we walked, him walking behind me. Well, this should be interesting, and something tells me I'm not going to like what he has to say. However, I really want to know. "I left because my father lined up a job for me. I was excited about the opportunity, and he told me that I had to leave that night. I chose a job over you, and I have never forgiven myself for doing that. Yet this job was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I didn't want to lose it. I should have told you in person. I just don't think you would have had let me go, as it was Cassius who had hired me to accompany him on an expedition to the Valley of Kings. My father thought this would be best for me, as it was a good way to start, kinda having one foot in the door, so to speak," he said as I stopped and turned to face him. I wanted to let him have it for breaking my heart when he left, yet he apologized, and now I know the reason. "Thank you for telling me, even though I won't lie by saying you had plenty of time to tell me this. You're right. I would not have let you go. Not with him, as you can now see what type of person he really is. However, I know how your father can be, so I understand. I then grabbed his hand. I thought we had a good thing going. I thought I did something wrong for you to leave the way you did. Just thankful it wasn't me after all. I finished by looking into his eyes. I would take him back in a heartbeat, and I think I just made that clear to him. He just smiled at me and squeezed my hand. How do you feel about starting over? I have missed you, and it seems like fate has thrown us together again for a reason. We can figure all that after we find our crown. Oh, I know it sounds silly, but when we find it, any chance I can wear it and take a pic? I told Anita on the plane I would send her one. Chris asked while looking at me to say no. Laughing, I agreed. Is there anything else she asked of you? Or just that? Wondering as I heard my name a few times while they whispered to each other. I would rather not say, but I will say that everything is coming together like she said. It's almost like she knew. Weird, he said with a smile. I let go of his hand and we began to walk again. We only walked about 20 minutes, only to stop dead as I heard what sounded like water. Yep, that would be water. As we continued, we came to the bank of a river. There's only one river that flows from east to west, the Amazon River. Now what? Chris said as he looked around at the river. Well, now we just follow the river. I have a feeling we may find what we are looking for, as I'm sure they use the river. Chris just nodded as we started to walk along the riverbank. As we both continued to walk, we were able to catch up on 7 years that we had missed. He told me about the various jobs that he and Cassius did, the artifacts that they found. What I found interesting is that Cassius never took the spotlight for himself when it came to Chris. Chris said that he was always involved in the news conferences and interviews. That's not how it went with me. Cassius always made sure I was not around or never invited, for which I now found strange. Then again, I really didn't care, as he was now a murdering piece of you-know-what, and Chris, well, he was with me, where he belonged. It was not long before we came to another river that connected from the north. Time to look at the map once again before Chris's phone died. I believe we need to look at the map again, as we might need to change direction, I said as he took the bag off to retrieve his phone. Remind me to buy you a new phone, I said as my eyes squinted as I pinched the picture to see. Why? What's wrong with my phone? It works, doesn't it? He responded while putting his hands on his hips. It's too small, and it's an Android. You need an iPhone. So much better. I'm thinking green Pro Max would be nice. Green is your favorite color, if I remember. Trying to lighten the mood as he just stared at me. Sure. Oh, I'm sure there's a Best Buy around here somewhere. Oh, wait, there isn't because we're in the middle of a jungle. Maybe we can ask the person on the boat for a ride to one. Wait, what? As I looked up at him confused, he pointed to a boat coming down the river. A small, almost like a tugboat-looking thing, just coasting down the river. Great. Is this one of his goons canvassing the river looking for us? Just in case, I asked Chris to stand behind me as I could see a man standing on deck, looking right at us, and even started to wave as he drew closer. Nerves started to creep in, as I was not sure how this was going to go. You had to be careful, as some would either kill you or rob you, or both. Good day, mate. What are the two of you doing all the way out in the bush? He asked. Australian. Captain Webb, Joseph Webb. Friends call me Joey. Throwing the anchor off the side as the boat came to a stop. He must have known something was up as he got into a rowboat, attached to the back, and started to row towards the shore. Well, let's see how this turns out. As he made his way off the boat and somewhat closer, I started to introduce myself. I'm Jack Jameson, I said as I put out my hand, which he took and shook. This here is my friend and field partner, Christopher Banks. We're on an expedition here in the jungle. Chris also shakes hands with Joseph, who smiles at Chris. Uh-oh, I know that smile. Yeah, not happening there, buddy, as I walked in front of Chris. So I take it you mates are flat out like a lizard drinking, he said, which made no sense to me, as he must have caught on as Chris and I just looked at each other. As in busy, mate. Oh, let me guess. You're also looking for the lost city, like the couple of bogans I ran into at the dock, asking questions about the city, rolling his eyes. Turning to Chris, he must be talking about Cassius's goons. Wait, you have wine? He said with a smile. Again, he had me confused. Took me a minute. Oh, I get it. Goon, a cheap boxed wine, great for backpacking in Australia. May I ask what you're doing out here on the river? I see no reason in asking a question myself before I answer him. Oh, I'm on vacation. I came here to get away and live on my boat for 2 weeks, and then I go back to work. I'm around people all the time, so I figured, why not take a week or two and ride the Amazon? I have everything I need, and believe it or not, no one really bothers me. I have another 4 days before I'm due back at the port in Lima. What is it you do, Mr. Webb, if you don't mind me asking? Chris asked, again before I had the chance to ask. Call me Joey, please. I am captain of the Majestic Star, a cruise liner for Majestic Cruises. You're looking funny at me, mate. I don't believe I said anything to confuse you this time, he said as Chris just looked at him with his mouth open and turned to me. Why is it we always run into someone who is in some way connected to Eric? Sorry about that. I happen to be best friends with Captain Eric Moore of the Coral, I said, which had Joey smiling. Gnarly. I know Eric very well. What a small world. I will be joining him when I return. He and his new boyfriend will be traveling on my ship as we return to Nassau, along with Anita Cromwell, so I've been told. I swear, she's got kangaroos loose in the top paddock. Wacky. She can be wacky and a pain. Yeah, I believe she will be busy with them on board, and hopefully won't bother me this time. Oh, Anita, yes, I met her on the plane. Interesting woman and wise, Chris said, remembering his time with her. One of these days, I'll have to find out what they talked about. For now, we have to get moving, as we're losing daylight. How do you know about the lost city? Do you always vacation on the Amazon? I asked, as I was interested to know, as he mentioned it before we did. He must know something. Why else would he ask? Oh, I've been doing this for at least 4 years now. Most of the people on the river and in the villages know me. I hear things at the docks when trading fish and other goods with the merchants. I took a few days myself to look around, only to find nothing. I have a few days, like I said. Any chance you could use some help? He asked. If he is friends with Eric, then I don't see why we couldn't use his help. He has a boat, which would make it quicker to go up the river. Not at all. We're about to head north up this river, as I have a feeling it may lead us where we need to be. Well, according to a 400-year-old map. I have a feeling that this is going to be an interesting journey, to say the least. Like I said, we now could move faster up this river, which branched off the main river. I had a good feeling about this. So did Chris. Holding his hand, we made it into the rowboat, and we were on deck in no time. I gave Joey the plan and what we needed to be looking out for. Let's just hope this goes without incident, and we can stay away from, what did he call them? Oh yeah, bogans. I'll ask about that later. We began our journey up north off the Amazon. Captain Webb, or should I say Joey, steering the boat, and Chris falling asleep in a chair on deck. Considering its size, Joey's boat was bigger than the outside. Comfortable and tidy. Think Jungle Cruise. No, not the ones in the park. The ones in the movie. Although painted white and blue, it looked like the one in the movie. Although this one had seen better days. We were offered tea earlier that Joe cooked up and had a small spread of different foods in the galley. No, I didn't mean a cup of tea. Tea means dinner. We talked about what we were looking for, and he seemed nice so far. Chris said we could trust him. Joey talked about how some of the natives would talk about a place that felt strange in the jungle. Most would run away. Sound familiar? The statues. This is good, as it backs up what was written in the diary. The boat started to slow when I saw Joey coming out, pointing up ahead. It seems like we had a fork in the road. Left or right? Waking Chris up, he had the map. Well, isn't this interesting? The map revealed the same break as we were facing now. Lorena's instructions to John said to the left, and to my calculations, the boat would not be able to sail through. Well, a 2-hour ride is certainly better than a 15-minute ride, Chris said, as he sounded like he was sad to get off. Joey, it seems like this is where we part ways. I thank you for the lift and hope we see each other again, I said as he handed Chris a bag containing water and snacks. I'm sure we will, and I'll also let Eric know that I've met you and Chris. Joey lowered the rowboat and brought us to shore. We would have to walk the riverbed again. Oh, and Jack? If you enjoyed yourself, my name is Joseph, and this has been the world-famous Jungle Cruise. If you didn't, then my name is Kevin, and this has been the Haunted Mansion, he said, smiling. Wait, how did he... You talk to yourself. Loudly, I might add, he said, laughing at this point, which had Chris snickering as well. No drama, mate. Be careful and find that crown before that Cassius fellow. Good luck. Off he went back to his boat, leaving Chris and I to trek back into the jungle, and according to our map, we were on the right path. Chris and I had been walking along and taking about the lost city and where Lorena's resting place would have been when Chris tripped on a rock, sending him down the bank and into rushing river, sweeping him away in front of me. I dove into the water trying to get to him. The water was very strong, so swimming towards him took less time, which was fine in time as he just kept getting swept under the current and then would come back up. I happened to grab him by the backpack. Even though we were holding on to each other, we were still being swept downriver. Yet it looked like it ends up ahead. Oh God, a waterfall.